229 pounds is what I weighed in 2 years ago today. This morning, I weighed in at 133 pounds. My goal weight was 136 pounds, so I'm 3 less than my goal weight. So I have had, over the last several months, lots of people ask me about my fitness journey. Now, this is totally not homeschooling related exactly. I mean, I've become a better mom and have more energy, so I guess that's homeschooling related. But this video is just about my fitness journey, and it's me telling the story. This was a Facebook Live, actually, that I did a couple months ago, but I tell the whole story of everything. Like, I put it all out there, y'all. So I have no shame. So if you want to be a hater and be rude, then you are a bad person. So without further ado, here's the whole story so you can hear it all. And if I can do it, anybody can do it, really, because I am not a very motivated person. Anyway. Okay. I'm on my walk, and I've got 45 minutes of walking, so I'm going home from the gym. And I've had the question come up again and again and again and again about my weight loss journey. Hopefully I won't fall. I've slipped so many times walking in the last few weeks. So I'm going to rewind about and give you the whole history for those of you who have asked, and it's been quite a few people who have messaged. I have struggled with weight my whole life, like since I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I finally gained, the heaviest weight that I've ever been at was when I was 19 years old, and I weighed 260 pounds. And if you notice in my before and after pictures, which y'all, it has taken a lot out of it. Like, it's taken all the courage I've had to even post those. So I appreciate how kind everyone has been and not awful and rude, posting those pictures. But if you notice, there's a line down my stomach, in those pictures. And it's an old scar, because when I was 20, I had a gastric bypass and lost, I lost like 130 pounds, roughly. I lost 120 pounds. And I lost it fast. And because I was so young, my skin mostly retracted pretty well. And I was able to maintain that weight so that was in 1997. I was able to maintain that weight for several years. And then I got married and started having kids. And then I started putting the weight back on. And I don't regret having the bypass. People ask, and a lot of people who have bypasses get a lot of crap. But I don't judge people for it. It was an intensely painful, one of the most painful things I have ever done in my life, because they cut all through your muscle, and it was horrible. But I did lose the weight, and I was grateful that I did. I was able to change some habits, but not all the habits that I needed to. But I also knew I never wanted to ever experience that again. So then I started gaining weight when I started having children, and I finally peaked at my heaviest weight in April 2023. And you have to understand, I had lost 20 pounds here and there. Like, I'd do different programs, and pretty much you name it, I've probably done it. You name the program, I have tried it. And so in 2023, somebody asked me yesterday, somebody said, what exactly shifted that made you decide to suddenly lose weight? And it had always been on my mind. Like, it never went away. When you're overweight, it doesn't ever go away. It's always in your head that you're heavy and that life would be better if you're thinner. It was for me anyway. Like, it was always on my mind. And And it was always a battle and always a struggle, and food was a struggle. And I didn't eat a lot, truth be told. It wasn't that I was just gorging all the time, because I wasn't. My food choices weren't great. I was walking pretty regularly. Again, I'm not fast. I wasn't strength training. But my food choices weren't terrific. I had tried intermittent fasting too, and that also, I was like, oh, it'll work great. It didn't. But in April, nothing really big happened in April of 2023, other than my husband's like, I'm going to hire these trainers and lose weight and get in shape. And he had been going to the gym and working out for like a year. And I decided, just in a moment, on the fly, I thought, it was April 30th, and I was like, well, shoot, if you're doing it, I may as well too. I mean, what could it hurt? Can't get any worse than it is now. I mean, it could get worse, but I don't want it to get any worse than it is now. I'm 229 pounds. I'm not at my heaviest, but I was at my heaviest that I'd been in a long time. And I had been contemplating my parents' health, which is not great. And that's it. Like, I told my husband, it was just like in an instant, I'm like, okay, I think I want to do this. And I didn't make any plans ahead of time. It wasn't like I was like, okay, next week I'm going to start. I'm going to start next week. It was, I have to do it now. I'm starting right this second. It was that night. So I reached out to the same trainers that Alec and Shannon. I reached out to the same trainers that my husband was signing up with. And they were remote. They're in a different state than us. And they were going to send us our food plans and our exercise plans. So I signed up that night, and I'm thankful we had the resources to do it. And then the plan was the very next morning, I was going to go buy the food and first thing in the morning and start their training program that they gave me. And they signed me up for this app that they would log in my exercises. Now, because I hadn't been strength training, everything was pretty much hard for me. So they started me off really like 2 days a week of strength training, which it took me several weeks to even be able to do that much. But at first they gave me a food plan with exactly what I was going to eat. Nothing was, I didn't have to buy prepackaged meals or anything like that. I'd have to cook from scratch. And my plan was to make Jason and I's food. And I found really fast that I got bored with that, like in a week. And I was like, I can't eat the same thing every day. Whereas my husband can and loves it. I can't. So I tried that for about a month, and I was losing a little bit of weight. And I was trying to do the strength training. It was really hard when I first started. Even the simple exercises that they had me do were hard. And I was sweating. I was embarrassed. I looked at myself in the gym. It was embarrassing, but I was there. So I'm like, at least I made it. After about a month, I was like, can we try something different? And my trainer was pretty frustrated. And so she's like, well, why don't we just try counting macros with you then? Because I was having a hard time sticking to the food plan. So then we tried macros, and I had a really hard time hitting the protein. And so then after about a month of that, she was very patient with me, but I knew she was frustrated. I was like, I just don't feel like this is working for me and my very food addicted personality. She said, well, then let's try. When do you feel good? Like, what point do you feel good with your food? And I said, well, when I eat about anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 calories, I feel good. And she had me at like 1,500 calories, and I was not losing weight. So she said, okay, we'll drop it to, 1,100-ish calories and not worry about the macros. Just get the calories in, like 1,100 calories. So we started doing that. And that's actually when I started seeing my weight drop, was just going, okay, my only goal is doing 1,100 calories for right now. Now, everyone's different. Everyone's bodies are different. That's one thing I've learned. What works for my body may not work for somebody else's body, because our bodies are different. So then she upped my strength training. I started being more consistent with it. Again, it was slow in coming. And then she moved me up to 3 days a week of strength training. And it was like 30 minutes. I hope I'm doing this on my regular page, not another page. Anyway, I just realized that. So once I moved to 3 days a week of strength training, the weight loss was really, really slow, but I was and I was still walking at least 5 days a week. Again, not a lot, just 30 minutes a day. I'm a slow walker. It's not like I was like speed walking. And I told her, I said, I'm so tired still. I'm really, really tired. And then I got food poisoning one week and I had to go to the doctor. Anyway, I had this whole hoopla happen with the doctor. And the doctor mentioned that, and the trainer had brought it up, and then the doctor mentioned, they said, have you had your hormones tested? And I said, well, I did a couple years ago, but it's been a while. And they said, why don't you get your hormones checked? So I did all the blood work and all the testing, and they found that my thyroid was off, my progesterone was off, my testosterone was off, like all of the things were off. And so then we went about for 2 or 3 months of getting the hormones balanced and starting that. And it took about 3 months to get it dialed in. But what happened is, as soon as those were dialed in, I started getting more energy and I started losing weight. Like, it was almost like that was a blocker, was just my hormones being out of whack. Like, the weight loss up until that point was really slow. And let me think, it was like August of 2023. So May, June, July, August. So it was like, maybe it was September. Anyway, it was a few months after I had started. And again, the weight loss for that first 3 months was really slow. And I expected there to be more weight loss during that time, but there wasn't. So, once I dialed in my hormones, and again, that took 2 or 3 months. So August is when I started them, August, September. And then it was like by December, I was starting to feel really good. And that's when they started really getting dialed in, I felt better. I had more energy. I wasn't as grumpy. And that's when I really started to drop the weight. And it wasn't fast. Like whereas with the gastric bypass, like, you lose 100 pounds in like 8 months, right? This was, if I lost a pound in a week, it was awesome. Or I'd go for an entire month and not lose anything, and then all of a sudden drop 5 pounds, and then go 2 months without losing anything. So, but I started seeing actual weight loss happening. And I was still struggling with being perfect about things. I'd miss workouts here and there, and but I was trying, and like today, like the last 2 days I've missed my workouts. It's been blizzarding. Today I did 2 workouts, and I have to make up one tomorrow that I missed. So, because I didn't do my strength training. So, and there was times that I'd go over calories, or her rule was I couldn't go more than 100 calories over or under my targeted goal that we had set. And so there were some days that I did, and some days that were not great, and I'd have to pick myself up. I think the difference, and I was contemplating why things are different this go round than they were before. And I realized there was one major thing besides hormones being imbalanced. There was, well, not one. There's a couple things that were a big deal that shifted in my brain. The first thing is I realized that perfection was not the key. Perfection was not the goal. Consistency was the goal. So even if I, like, say, had a piece of pizza and I'm like, oh, I've just blown everything, I go, no. I just have to figure that into my calories, and I'm not going to overdo it with the pizza. Or let's say one day I did overdo it with the pizza. Then I'm like, well, this evening is going to be better. Not tomorrow. Like, the next step is I'm going to improve, and I'm not throwing everything out, you know. Whereas in the past I was like, well, I messed up today, so therefore it's over. I'm done. I give up. So I allowed myself tremendous grace, which is why it's taken almost 2 years to get through this, this process. Again, we're just shy of 2 years, 3 months shy of 2 years. The second thing that I did is, and this is a biggie, I didn't have a specific end time. You know, I know with the SMART goals, you know, it needs to be measured and you have a time limit and all the things. This time I didn't. I was like, it's going to take as long as it takes, even if that's 0.2 pounds a week, so be it. I will just let my body do what it does. And I will focus on the things that are in my control, and the things that are out of my control, I will let go of. So what's in my control, what I put in my mouth, when I put it in my mouth, whether or not I work out, whether or not I go on my walks. I am in control of that. The things that I'm not in control of are whether or not my body drops 5 pounds. I don't have that control. I don't. I have no control over that. I can only control the pieces that I can control, which are food, when I eat, how I eat, taking my hormones, going on my walks, doing my workouts. And if I mess up, it's okay. I can do better immediately. I can make a change right then, and it's fine. And it might take me a little bit longer, but it's fine. There is not a time limit. Ideally, I wanted to lose all the weight in 6 months, but I knew that wasn't realistic. I thought I'd love to lose all the weight in a year. Also knew that wasn't realistic. And so here we are, y'all. I weighed in this morning at 135.1 pounds. My goal was to get down to 136. And I just dropped below what my goal was. And it's the thinnest I've been since I was probably 14 years old. And I feel really good, and I'm very strong. Like, my body is physically very strong, stronger than it's ever been. But it also took me a year and 8 months. And I'll probably stop about here. I think this is where I'm good. So I'll increase my calories just slightly to go on maintenance. So those are the two big things that shifted what in my mind were, if I mess up, it's okay. I can do better right now, but I have to change right now. And I'm not going to put a time limit on how long it takes my body to respond to things. It's going to do what it's going to do. Period. The end. I don't control that. It just does what it does. On a cellular level, it does what it does. I don't control that. So that's what I did. Now, the question has come from lots of people privately. Thank you for not posting it publicly. Skin hang. I do have skin hang. The great thing is I don't have nearly as much as I thought I would, because it has taken so long to lose the weight. I didn't lose it all at once. I'm almost 48 years old, so my skin is not as elastic as it was when I was 20, when I had the bypass, where then I didn't have a lot of skin hang because I was so young and I didn't have decades of obesity. I do have some skin hang on all over my body. And you can't see it because I've got like clothes on, but it's there. And most likely, I've talked to my husband about, I think I want to get surgery, and he's supportive of whatever I choose. And I very well may get that skin hang surgery. I don't know. I haven't for sure made a decision. But when I talked to the doctor about it, they said to give it, once I hit the goal weight, which I'm at finally finally, right now, they said give it at least 4 months and see how much the skin retracts. They said preferably 6 to 8 months, but realistically you could get a surgery within 4 months once you've maintained that weight for 4 months. And so we'll see. We'll see. Now it's just like I'm just on a maintenance and just going on. I'll be just slightly increasing my calories to make sure I maintain where I'm at. And then we'll see how much surgery I'll need or if they'll need it at all. But again, it's not nearly as much as I thought it would be because it has taken so long to lose the weight, because I didn't do it in 6 months or a year. It actually was almost 2. So anyway, that's the journey. And I still try to walk every day. I didn't do it yesterday or the day before. And I also didn't go work out yesterday, the day before, which meant today I had to do it. It was blizzarding yesterday, so it was very slick and hard to walk. Usually I'd still go, but frankly, I was lazy. And I was like, no, I'm not. But here I am walking home today. And I did 2 workouts today. Thankfully, they were both short. They were each like 25, 30 minutes. I knocked them out, got them done. I'm walking home. And now I'm going to go homeschool my kids. So there's that. Anyway, there. If you have any more questions, I really have no shame left. When you put your picture up in with all of you showing, you lose all shame. So if you ever have any questions, reach out to me. I'm not afraid to answer any questions. And really, there's no embarrassing questions. Or, well, I guess there are 2 personal questions like that you could ask, but I'll tell you if that's too personal. But I don't have a lot of shame left. And so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out because, you don't have to go it alone. The accountability piece. Oh, that's the other thing I do have to say. With my trainer, every day I had to text her. I still do because I'm still working with her. I have to text her screenshots of my food. I do input my food into MyFitnessPal and I pay for the $70 a year subscription to it because it makes it so much easier. But I pay for MyFitnessPal and every day I log everything that I put in my mouth, even if it's like 3 Doritos, I will log it. So MyFitnessPal is the app that I use to log my food. I do it every day. And then my trainer would have me screenshot my food and my macros and my calories to her every day with my weight and how many BMs I had, bowel movements I had that day, as well as how much sleep I got. Because when you do that, you start to see a pattern. Like if I go with less than 7 hours of sleep, I know I will gain weight. I know I will. I've seen the pattern now. Like if I don't get enough sleep, my weight just shoots up because the sleep matters. So that was one thing, is having to log that to her and be accountable to her every single day, was a big deal because suddenly I couldn't just be like, well, I'll do it later. It's like, no, she's going to be like, where's your numbers? The other thing that I had to do on a weekly basis is take front, back, and side pictures in my underwear and bra. Like I bought some black underwear, wore a sports bra, and I really hate doing them. Every week I hate doing them, but I'm really glad now because I can see when I put them all together, I can see the progress, because you don't see the progress as you're going through it. So I had to do that every Saturday. And then I still do it every Saturday. And then the other thing is Jason and I take his pictures too. He takes mine, I take his. And then we take measurements, and do all of our whole body measurements. So we measure chest, shoulders, waist, hips at the widest part, thighs, calves, and then biceps. And we do that every week, and then we have to text the trainer our pictures and all of our measurements and our weight and our bowel movement and our sleep, the number of hours that we got for sleep. And that also has been huge, like having that nonstop accountability. And it's embarrassing. And there's times that I was like, today was a fail day. And she'd be like, and tomorrow's not going to be a fail day. So there we are. So I'd have to pick myself back up and start again. So MyFitnessPal, the strength trainings they give me through an app called Trainerize, but I think that's only for personal trainers. But there's lots of strength training apps out there. And it doesn't really, I was talking to my trainer about this. She goes, it doesn't really matter what app a person picks. You like have them pick something, you know, sometimes they're free, sometimes they're not. But she's like, just most people don't do anything, and something is better than nothing. So even if they find an app and then just do the strength training, you know, a couple times a week at the beginning, like they're gonna see results, but most people just give up before they even start. So I used the app I use is Trainerize, but that's specific to my trainer. But there are other apps out there that, you know, will give you strength training. Like it tells you what to do, where there's like a little video, and they're all pretty much the same. You watch the little video on, it says, these are the exercises you need to do, and you need to do 3 sets. And here's a little video on how to do the exercise. So that's what I do. Again, because my trainer lives in Las Vegas and I live in Colorado. So I watch the little video, and sometimes I've had to swallow my pride at the gym. If I still didn't understand watching the video, I have gone up to people and said, I'm sorry, excuse me, can you show me how to do this exercise properly? And people have been so gracious. And I'll tell you, there's been some teenage boys that I'm like, can you help me? And they're like, yeah. And then they feel special because they're helping a mom learn how to do an exercise properly. And so that's what I do for Mondays. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do lower body strength training. I'm up to 5 days a week. Again, it started at 2 days a week and then moved to 3 and then moved to 4. I will not do more than 5 days a week at this point. My body needs 2 rest days. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do lower body. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, I do upper body, whether that's shoulders and back or arms. And I'm trying to think of the exercise that I do. I do upper body. So I just work one muscle group a day. So anyway, that's it. Like that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And like I said, I weighed in at 135.1, which I have not been since I was probably like 12. Who knows? I don't even know. Long time. But I feel good. I feel healthy. Get your hormones checked. It matters. That's when I started losing weight. And give yourself grace. Lots of it. And don't give yourself a time limit. Just, it'll take as long as it takes. Anyway, so that's it. If you have any more questions, reach out. I'm happy to answer them. Again, there's nothing too personal. Well, yeah, no, there's not a lot of personal left. I have no shame left. So anyway, talk to you later.